Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of The Sauce. I got what should be, on paper, the best game of the weekend. All four are going to be great. But we got Bengals Bills, the Damar Hamlin rematch game. Should be a good one. Let's dive in.
Welcome to The Sauce. The Sauce. Sauce. Hey, get the sauce.
All right, Cincinnati on the road in Buffalo here. This line actually opened up Buffalo -3.5. By Tuesday morning, it's up to 5. This is really the only game of the weekend that had significant line movement. Early on, we're looking at a public versus pros game. Public's heavy on Cincinnati. 70% of the tickets on the Bengals. 64% of the money on the Bills. This is as of Tuesday morning. And nothing has changed at all here. Still public heavy on Cincinnati. Still sharp money leaning Buffalo. Line has moved up though. We're now looking at Buffalo -5.5. So let's cap this game. If you subscribe to this channel, you already know the first step. We're running the numbers through the spreadsheet. According to the model, the line for this game should be Buffalo -3.60, which gives us a 2-point lean on Cincinnati. So let's break this matchup down. And unfortunately for Cincinnati, we got to start with the injury report. It's significant. 3 offensive linemen have gone down for the Bengals in the last 3 weeks, and not just any offensive linemen, it's their 3 best offensive linemen. Lael Collins and Alex Kappa, that was their 2 big free agent signings that were supposed to bolster this offensive line. Jonah Williams, who was pretty much the only formidable piece of the Bengals offensive line last year that returned. All 3 are out. Keep in mind, these all just happened too. I mean, it happened in week 16, week 18, and the wild card round. 1 in each of the last 3 games. So it's not like, in some cases, you're like, okay, they're missing 2 starters on the offensive line, but the backups have had 6 games to get reps in and get comfortable in the offense. That's not the case here. The Bengals are gonna have 3 starters on the offensive line in this game that have a combined total of 4 starts on the season. And the 2 guys, I think their names are Sharping. Damn it, I forget their names, but and 2 of them were getting eaten alive by the Ravens last week. So that right there really messes with my thought process, because we know Buffalo's front 7 is good, right? You got guys like Brousseau, Shaq Lawson, Milano, Tremaine Edmonds. You got those kind of dudes going up against guys who are making their 1st or 2nd start of the season. That's a horrible recipe. But we know Zach Taylor is not a fool. I mean, you know he's going to come into Buffalo with a game plan that's going to get the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands fast. I mean, shit, this team had a garbage offensive line last year and they went to the Super Bowl. A big question that we all need to ask ourselves is, what do we really think of this Buffalo defense, right? Because hear me out. Do they just have a soft spot for the Miami Dolphins? Because if you look at the last 2 months, this defense has been lights out, except for the 2 games against Miami. And that's not completely unusual, by the way. We've seen elite teams that just struggle against their division rivals. I mean, in games where they should beat them by 2 touchdowns, and they end up being in a shootout. We've seen that before. It's not uncommon. So are the Miami Dolphins the Buffalo Bills' kryptonite, or did Skylar Thompson and the Miami Dolphins expose the Bills' defense for being overrated? I personally think it's the first one. Division rivalries are weird. I try not to read too much into those games. I think the Bills defense is top 5. It is as advertised. And if you look at last week, yeah, Miami scored 31 points, but they only had 230 yards of offense in the game. Miami scored 31 based on turnovers, based on special teams. Nobody can say Skylar Thompson went into Buffalo and lit the Bills defense up, because that's just not what happened. I just find it hard to believe. Like, there's no way that those missing offensive linemen on the Cincinnati line is not going to be a factor. It has to be. This Bills defense is too good. Joe Burrow's going to need to have an MVP level day to even compete in this game, in my opinion. Now let's flip things around and talk about Josh Allen and the Bills offense against the Bengals defense. This is a tough one to get a read on, because on paper, the Bengals pass defense is putting up good numbers. Bengals have been pretty good against the pass, and that's huge because we all know how much McDermott loves to have the ball in Josh Allen's hands. Since week 14, Cincinnati is 8th in the NFL in opponents' passer rating allowed, which is huge. You'll take that all day if you're a Cincinnati fan. Top 10 pass defense in the last 6 weeks? Hell yeah. Here's the problem. Look at the quarterbacks they've played in the last 6 weeks. Deshaun Watson, who's been awful. Tom Brady, who's been awful. Mac Jones, who's been awful. Anthony Brown, we know what that is. And then Tyler Huntley, who actually played a good game. It's a lot easier to put up nice looking numbers against the pass when you're not seeing any top 10 quarterbacks. Now they see Josh Allen in Buffalo in the playoffs, where he's been an absolute maniac. In Josh Allen's 4 career home playoff games, he's averaging 297.5 pass yards a game, 11 touchdowns, just 2 picks. Both came last week, by the way. Those are his first interceptions in his career in a home playoff game, and a 116.4 passer rating. Josh Allen at home in the playoffs has been as good as it gets, as good as the NFL has to offer, and he's coming off a bad, I mean, not a horrible game, but a bad game, and he knows that. I think this Bengals defense is sneaky good. I like Trey Hendrickson a lot. I think there's a chance we see him make a play or two, but look at the last handful of games from the Bills. 34 points, 35 points, 35 points, 32 points. When the Bills play, you can just put mid-30s on the board because you know they're good for it. And without those offensive linemen for Cincinnati, I just don't think they can keep up. So I'm fading the Bengals. I'm fading the magical team that keeps covering. I'm fading them. I faded them last week with Baltimore. I won. I'm fading them again. Give me the Bills. I'll take Buffalo -5.5. Let's go. Bills Mafia, stand up. If anything changes with this bet, I will let you know on Twitter. So give me a follow there if you're interested. Also, if you want the final bets that we do for every sport, which is top bets, parlay of the day, that kind of stuff, head over to KyleKirms.com or download the Sauce Network app. NFL Division Weekend. Remember to bet responsibly. I know it gets tempting. These games are awesome. You get all fired up and you overextend yourself. Try not to do that. I'll talk to you on Twitter if you need me.